Divisibility rules, part 1. Here's the divisibility rule for 2. A number is divisible by 2 if the last digit of the number is even. Remember, even numbers are 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. So if the last digit of a number is 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, then the number is divisible by 2. Let's do an example. If our number is 208, is this number divisible by 2? Let's figure it out. First, we have to look at the last digit. Is our last digit even? Yeah, our last digit is 8, so it's even. So this number is divisible by 2. Let's go for another example. If our number is 19, is this number divisible by 2? Let's figure it out. First, we have to look at the last digit. Our last digit is 9. 9 is not an even number because it's not 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So this number 19 is not divisible by 2. Let's do another example. If our number is 268, is this number divisible by 2? Let's figure it out. Let's look at the last digit of the number. The last digit is 8. Is 8 an even number? Yes, 8's an even number, so 268 is divisible by 2. Here's another example. If our number is 1,356, is this number divisible by 2? Let's figure it out. Let's look at the last digit first. Our last digit is 6. Is 6 an even number? Yes. So 1,356 is divisible by 2. Here's our last example. If I have a number like 361, is this number divisible by 2? Well, let's figure it out. If the last digit is even, it's divisible by 2. Our last digit is 1. 1 is not an even number, so 361 is not divisible by 2. Now let's take a look at our notes. First, we're going to focus on this top part. A number is blank by another number if the quotient is a whole number with no remainder. It should be if the number is divisible by another number if the quotient is a whole number with no remainder. So make sure you have divisible written down on your sheet. Now let's fill in the rule for 2. Our rule for 2 was if the last digit is even, then the number is divisible by 2. Let's just make sure that we remember the even numbers. Do you guys remember our even numbers? Our even numbers are 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. Make sure you write down those numbers so you have them for future reference. Here's the divisibility rule for 4. A number is divisible by 4 if the last 2 digits form a number divisible by 4. Let's think of the multiples of 4. Well, we know that 4 is a multiple of 4 because 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 7 is 28. 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times 9 is 36. And 4 times 10 is 40. We could continue on, but I think these are the main ones that you should remember. Let's try an example. Let's pretend like we have a number of 216. So first we have to look at the last two digits. Are the last two digits divisible by 4? Yes, 16 is divisible by 4. Here's another example, 1,428. So first what we have to do is look at the last two digits. The last two digits are 28. Do we see 28 as one of our multiples of 4? Yes, we do. So 28, or 1,428, is divisible by 4. Let's try another example. If our number is 317, is this divisible by 4? Well, first we have to look at the last two digits. The last two digits are 17. Do you guys see 17 as one of our numbers that's divisible by 4? Nope. So 317 is not divisible by 4. Let's go back to our notes. Look under 4. We're going to type in the divisibility rule for 4. Our divisibility rule for 4 is if the last two digits form a number divisible by 4. Okay, so we're going to put that there. Then, just as a side note for ourselves, I'd like for us to write down some of the multiples of 4. So, for example, some of those multiples of 4 include 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, and 40. So write those in your notes as well. Here's the divisibility rule for 5. If the last digit of a number is 0 or 5, then the number is divisible by 5. Let's try an example of this one. What if our number was 200? Is 200 divisible by 5? Well, first, let's look at the last digit of the number. The last digit of our number is 0. Is the last digit of our number 0 or 5? Yes. So 200 is divisible by 5. Let's try another example. What if our number was 365? Is this number divisible by 5? First, we have to look at the last digit. Is the last digit of this number 0 or 5? Yes, the last digit is 5. So 365 is divisible by 5. Let's do another example. What if we had the number 1,398? Well, first we have to look at the last digit. The last digit is 8. Is 8 0 or 5? Nope. So the number is not divisible by 5. Let's try one last example. If our number is 35, is that number divisible by 5? Well, let's look at the last digit. The last digit is 5. Is the last digit 0 or 5? Yes. So 35 is divisible by 5. Let's fill in our notes for 5. The divisibility rule for 5 is if the last number is 0 or 5. So we're going to put that in our notes section for 5. If the last number is 0 or 5, the number is divisible by 5. Here's the divisibility rule for 10. If the last digit of the number is 0, then the number is divisible by 10. Let's try an example. 200. If our number is 200, is this number divisible by 10? Well, let's look at the last digit. The last digit is 0. So yes, 200 is divisible by 10. Let's try another example. 371. Is 371 divisible by 10? Well, let's look at the last digit. The last digit is 1, so no, 371 is not divisible by 10. Let's do another example. 1,367. Is this number divisible by 10? Let's look at the last digit. The last digit is 7, so no, 1,367 is not divisible by 10. Here's our last example. If we have the number 560, is this number divisible by 10? Well, let's look at the last digit. The last digit is 0, so yes, 560 is divisible by 10. Let's write down the last piece of information on our note sheet. So our last rule is going to be the 10. So if we're looking at the 10, our rule is if the last digit is 0. If the last digit is 0, then the number is divisible by 10. Make sure that you have that filled out and you have your entire note sheet filled out. Remember, you can use this video and the note sheet as a reference as you work through your math problems. That's all for now, folks. Thanks for watching.